The holographic galaxy slowly rotated above the obsidian table. 8 crimson stars marked, 8 worlds conquered, 8 civilizations broken. Supreme Commander Vornak studied the glowing map with satisfaction, his 4 eyes gleaming in the dim light of the war chamber. "Gentlemen," he announced, his voice echoing through the flagship's command deck, "we stand at the threshold of our 9th conquest. The new plasma fusion weapon awaits its baptism." His clawed hand gestured toward the projection. "We require a target weak enough to test our device, yet populated enough to provide meaningful data." Around the table, the 7 high warlords murmured in agreement. They represented the greatest military force the galaxy had ever known. No enemy had withstood them. No defense had held. Warlord Krathel leaned forward, his scaled shoulder catching the light. "I propose the Viridian Cluster, 3 billion inhabitants, minimal orbital defenses." "Too developed," Vornak dismissed. "We need primitives. The weapon must be calibrated against softer targets first." General Mirza traced a path across the hologram with one skeletal finger. "Here, the outer rim, a yellow star system locals call it Sol. Intelligence reports a single inhabited world. Stone and metal architecture, primitive combustion vehicles, chemical propulsion for their spacecraft. They've barely left their own moon." The warlords chuckled, a sound like grinding metal. "Perfect," Vornak said, reaching toward the projection. "They call themselves." "No." The word cracked through the chamber like a gunshot. Every head turned toward the entrance, where a figure stood silhouetted against the corridor lights. Vornak's eyes narrowed. "Commander Zelron, you dare interrupt this council." The scarred veteran limped into the light, and several warlords recoiled. Zelron's body was a map of horrific injuries. Burned tissue covered half his face. His left arm ended at the elbow in a crude prosthetic, and his gait suggested shattered bones poorly healed. "I dare because I've faced them," Zelron said, his voice hoarse. "The humans, I've fought them." Silence fell over the council. "Impossible," Krathel scoffed. "They have no interstellar capability. How could you?" 70 cycles ago," Zelron interrupted, "before your time, Krathel. A mercenary contract on a disputed mining colony. The humans had a small settlement there, refugees, pioneers, families, 200 of them. My unit numbered 800 seasoned warriors." He moved closer to the table, the prosthetic clicking with each step. "We were tasked with clearing the colony. Simple work, or so I believed." Mirza's mandibles clicked in amusement. "You're telling us that 200 primitives defeated 800 of our soldiers?" "Defeated," Zelron's remaining eye blazed. "They annihilated us. Of my 800, 17 survived, 17. The chamber erupted in disbelief. "Enough fantasy," Vornak growled. "Guards, remove this." "Watch." Zelron pulled a data chip from his armor and slammed it into the holographic projector. "Watch what I recorded before my helmet systems failed." The galaxy vanished, replaced by battlefield footage. At first it seemed routine, armored soldiers advancing on a small colony of crude buildings. Then the humans emerged. They didn't retreat, they didn't surrender. They attacked. The warlords watched in growing horror as the recording showed humans, soft-skinned, fragile creatures, charging into plasma fire. They saw a female, wounded, drag herself across open ground to detonate explosives beneath a tank. They saw an elderly male hold a chokepoint alone, dying on his feet, buying time for others to escape. They saw parents throwing themselves on grenades to shield their children. "By the void," whispered General Mirza. The footage continued to Zelron's final moments in battle. A human male, covered in blood and burns, had pinned him down. The human had no weapon, only his bare hands. In his eyes was not hatred or rage, but determination. Pure, absolute, terrifying determination. "I survived because another squad arrived in time," Zelron said. That human died trying to strangle me with his bare hands, even as plasma bolts tore through his body. He kept squeezing until his heart stopped. The hologram faded. The council sat in stunned silence. Zelron touched his scarred face. I received this when a human engineer turned their colony's fusion reactor into a bomb. She walked into our command center with it strapped to her chest. I was at the edge of the blast. Everyone else died. He turned to Vornek. That was a mining colony. 200 humans defending a few buildings in the middle of nowhere. Now you want to attack their homeworld, a planet with 8 billion of them, with their factories, their armies, their entire species united against us. But our intelligence reports show primitive technology, Krathel protested weakly. Yes, Zelron agreed. They fight amongst themselves constantly. Do you know what happens when they stop fighting each other? Go ahead, attack them. Give them a common enemy, unite them. Then watch as 8 billion humans decide that dying to destroy you is an acceptable outcome. He straightened. Humans have a saying, do not go gentle into that good night. They don't just resist extinction, they rage against it. Every human, every time. They are persistence predators, supreme commander. On their world, they are the apex species not because they are strongest or fastest, but because they never stop coming. They track their prey for days, weeks. They do not give up. Vornek stared at the now empty hologram, then at his fellow warlords. He saw doubt in their eyes and fear. Sir, Zelron said quietly, we've conquered 8 worlds, strong worlds, worlds with armies and fleets and warrior traditions. But we conquered them because when faced with overwhelming force, they eventually surrendered. Humans don't. They'll drag you down to hell with them rather than accept defeat. The Supreme Commander's hand hovered over the solar system in the hologram. After a long moment, he pulled back. Mark the Sol system as level red, highest threat assessment, he ordered. No incursions, no contact, quarantine protocols. Sir, Marza asked, confused, but the weapon test? We'll find another target, Vornek said firmly. One where victory is certain and losses are acceptable. He looked at Zelron. I didn't survive this long by ignoring warnings from veterans. As the council recalculated coordinates and the flagship turned away from the small yellow star, Zelron remained at the hologram. He stared at the Sol system, at the tiny blue world orbiting that unremarkable sun. A people had won a battle they never fought, thanks to the memory of 200 miners who refused to surrender, and the scars they left on the one enemy who survived to tell the tale.